Round 9 was a mix of results with some really close games, especially to start off the first half of the round. Then we saw some comfortable victories going into the back end of the round. Let's get into reviewing all of the round with some good matches and some not so great matches. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. Joining you as always is your host, Trent D'Alton, or as some of you might know me as Tricky. And yes, this is the round 9 review. Now, if you've noticed, it is going to be a one episode in whole, purely because today is Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day. When you're watching this, it would be a Sunday. So I hope everyone took out their mothers and spoiled out their mothers on Mother's Day. But that being Mother's Day, took my lovely mother out to see the new Michael Jackson movie. So only got time for the one, so I'm going to put it all in the one review, as we did get an early finish on a Sunday, which is actually really, really nice. I don't mind the last game being 3:15. It was even 3:30 is nice. Definitely gives us plenty of time to get some content out. But if you're watching this along on YouTube, please make sure to leave a like and comment on this video. Hit that subscribe button so as we race towards 400 subscribers, we've hit the 390s, the nervous 90s. So let's try and get towards 400 subscribers in the next couple of weeks. If you're listening to this via Spotify and Apple Podcasts, make sure you're following the podcast. Leave a like and comment on this episode. Turn notification bell on so you're notified whenever we upload too. Please, guys, remember to leave a 5-star rating, as that does help push the show out there. So without further ado, let's get into Thursday night action between the Dockers and the Hawks, and it was a good one. The Dockers just getting over the line by the Hawks, out overrunning them in the last quarter to come from behind to get a 15-point victory, 12-16. 88 defeating 11-7-73. A miss, and Frederick kicked 3 each. And I thought Michael Frederick was huge in that, especially in that last quarter. Kicked 2 goals in that last quarter as they kicked 5 goals in a row to take home the win. But also he kicked 3 for the game. Had 19 disposals as well. So I thought he was really electric there. Michael Frederick had been a bit quiet to start this season after, I believe it was a 30-plus goal season last year. So he'd been a bit quiet, so it was good to see him finally get that game on there. Tracy also kicked 2, had a bit of an almost day. I think kicked 2 goals, 3. Could have kicked plenty of more, but still managed to kick the 2 and was pivotal in some key late moments. As for the Hawks, it was a two-man show, really. First of all, Gunston 6, 5 of them in the first half, and then they started Luke Ryan on him, I'm pretty sure, and then they moved Brennan Cox onto him, who struggled a little bit early, but then managed to keep him to 1 goal in the second half. By all means, Gunston was injured, and I believe late in the game did spend a lot of it off the bench. I remember so long ago Thursday, but was injured and looking pretty sore. So it's a watch to see if he gets up, obviously with the older age. Is that a concern that they're still relying on Gunston to kick all their goals? Mitch Lewis wasn't a player that was able to go with him. I like Mitch Lewis. He's had some games where he showed that, but some people are saying, oh, we missed Mario Chol, but Chol isn't that answer for Gunston. Don't get me wrong, he'll pitch in for your 2 goals here and there. But Gunston's their main man down now. I know they like Dia, but he is still developing. It's definitely one to look out for. Like, if Gunston does break down, because there's no doubt Hawks are top 4 seeded team going in. They're one of the flag favourites going into this. There's no doubt about it. Probably have them about that 3 or 4 mark at the moment, if I was to put them in seedings. But if Gunston goes down, is that going to be a concern? I know their high half forwards are really good, but where else, if they shut Watson down, where else are they getting it from? One person I would like to praise is Newcomb, though. Been excellent all year, number 26 and 8 clearances there. As for the Dockers, Sarong finally got some better footy back. Been struggling the last few weeks, most of the season really, 8 clearances, 8 inside 50s. 7 score involvements and 5 tackles. Brayshaw also had 24, 7 score involvements and 6 clearances. We mentioned Newcomb, but Eamon was the highest ball getter on the ground. 31 disposals, going at 81% efficiency, 8 rebound 50s and a whopping 881 metres gain. We mentioned Freo come from behind, but it wasn't a pretty start in their last quarter. They started off kicking 1 goal 5, so they could have won in the end by 5 or 6 goals if they had kicked straight in that quarter. We mentioned Michael Frederick. We mentioned Jack Gunston. But the other one to watch is Tom Barras went down with an injury, and I believe he went down. So he went down with a hamstring injury, but I believe he didn't play the second half, and that forced Josh Weddle to go back and play as like a second tall. Now, Josh Weddle's a good player, and I think his best footy is behind the ball at half-back, but playing as that second tall, we saw him at sometimes having to match up on the likes of Luke Jackson, and Luke Jackson just out-monster him in key moments. I think Josh Weddle's a good player, yeah, and as his position is behind the ball, but the question I have for this, does this Tom Barrass injury, because he's been so good for that defense, play a massive factor on how they set up behind the ball now? Because if we have a look at there now, if we pull up the game at the moment, because Tom Barrass is such a key moment. We saw him take the intercepting mark last week that got them the goal that drawed it. So they've still got Josh Battle, who had 24 disposals, but then James Sicily can, but he's also not huge, but he can play on the tools, but they like to leave him free, and I think that's the same what they like to do with Weddle. So not that I don't think they have the cattle down there, but I just think because Tom Barrass is so good, is that going to play a factor? It's one to keep an eye on, but they'll be hoping to get Tom Barrass back as soon as they can. But I reckon as well, don't rush him back. Don't overdo him, because he's someone you need in the back stages of the season. Now let's get into the 2 Friday night games that were really close as well. We'll start off with, if my phone wants to load back up, we'll start off with Brisbane and Carlton. And finally, Carlton, I'll give you a round of applause because you fought all the way to the end. Yes, you didn't start this game off very well, but you fought all the way to the end this time and came back and gave the reigning back-to-back premiers a bit of a scare in the end, only going down by 11 points in the end. So that's hats off to Carlton. Brisbane 14-16, 100, defeating Carlton 13-11-89. Logan Morris kicked 4. Cameron, Levi Ashcroft, and Lohman all kicked 2 each. Mackay, that's one of the best games we've seen Mackay play for a while. If we want to pull up some of his stats, he kicked the 3 goals, but he was a presence. And I want to highlight all of the new recruits who I thought were good. So Mackay kicked 3, Haywood kicked 3, McGovern kicked 3, and Ainsworth kicked 2. But they were all high disposal games. So if we pull it up here, Harry Mackay, 3 goals, 21 disposals, and took the 10 marks, had 9 score involvements. I thought that's one of the best matches he's played in a while. Presented really well. Is there marks inside 50? And took 5 marks inside 450. So that's a really good sign. Now we head over to Will Haywood. Will Haywood, even back in the Sydney Swans days, wasn't a person who was known to get into high disposals. But here, 3 goals, 22 disposals, 10 marks, 9 score involvements, 4 marks inside 450. Really good signs. Then we go over to Ben Ainsworth, 21 disposals, 2 goals, 1, 7 score involvements, as well as 7 marks, and 2 of them being inside 450. So there is something there that those recruits finally delivering back. And I think Carlton can really be pleased with the result that they put in there. Yes, they didn't get the win, but remember, this is the reigning back-to-back premiers. So hats off to Carlton for that one. And I'm really liking the McGovern move forward. Disposal-wise, Neil had it on a string, 33, 82% efficiency, a goal, 9 clearances, and 7 score involvements. McCluggage, back to the McCluggage we knew from last year, 25, a goal, 10 clearances, and 7 score involvements, and 5 tackles, while a crowd favourite, Bruce Reville, had 24. Cripps, 32, 18 contested, a goal, 9 clearances, and 8 score involvements. Brisbane dominated most of the game, as I said, but in a change of events. So the Lions led by 49 points in the third. Then the Blues piled on the goals just to bring it back to a 10-point lead. And why the Brisbane Lions had such a big lead in this first half is because they dominated clearance. 24-11, they led at clearance in the first half. Now, if we have a look, so 24-11 in the first half, let's have a look how it ended. It ended 43-32. So if we take that, that's 19... what did I say? It was 24-11, 21-31, 21-19. Carlton won the clearances in the second half. So they fought it back into their control. I think that was a key factor to why they were able to do it. So again, as I say, hats off to Carlton on that one. I think you can take a little victory of this one. While it's not a win, it's a little victory and a step in the right direction. Now we head over to the other Friday night game at the Adelaide Oval between Port Adelaide and Western Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs just hanging on to get it by 2 points as Port Adelaide started off the game really slow but came home strong, kind of like what Carlton did against Brisbane earlier on that night. I think they were about 20 minutes apart, the games. I think 7:10 and 7:35, 7:40, I think the second game was. excuse me, as 10-12-72 defeated by 10-14-74. Georgiades had another almost game. He needs to get this goal kicking right because I think he could be one of, not the best key forward in the competition, but one of the highest talented key forwards, has the marking capability, has the athleticism. 4 goals, 4 again after 3 goals, 5 or 3 goals, 6 not long ago, 2 weeks ago, then 2 goals, 0, 2 goals, 4 last week. Needs to start getting that right because he needs to start converting these 3 goals, 5, 4 goals, 4 into 6 goals, 2, 7 goals, 1 to help Port Adelaide get over the line here because I don't think Port Adelaide are as bad as what we first thought. Norton, West and Lewis all kicked 2 each for the Bulldogs. Butters, 30 disposals, 7 score runs, 5 clearances and 5 tackles, but he is going to come under MRO watch for his hit on Joel Fraser. Very late, partially leaves the ground and overruns the footy. He did get him high. I reckon there could be a week here. What do you guys think? I think he did while it might not be as vicious and he didn't fully take his head off, it's everything the AFL has said don't do. Don't overrun the footy. Don't leave the ground. And he's done all of them. So I think Butters is looking at least a 1-week suspension here. Farrell's been really good, I think, for them all season so far. 27 at 82% efficiency and 10 marks. Sanders are starting to find some really consistent footing. What we know, Sanders, he's not going to be your kicking target, but he's going to be in and under clearance work, but he's going to do it through by hands, and that's perfectly fine. You can be a handballer and get your clearances out. Nat Fife did it a lot. Cripps did it a lot early in his career. Lockie Neal did it early in his career. Clayton Oliver does it. Plenty of good players have done it. 31, 7 clearances, and 7 score runs. Bontempelli, injured or not, he's just still dominating. 30 disposals, 90% efficiency, 7 clearances and a goal, and probably takes the 3 votes in that game as well. Richards also 27, a goal and 6 clearances, and Joel Fraser, the mini Bont, had 26, 7 clearances, 3 goal assists to go along with a goal. Port thumped the Bulldogs in inside 50s, so 59-35, the 20 plus 24 in inside 50s, but just couldn't convert when going in. I think that also comes down to the factor in that Georgiades did kick 4 goals, 4, but Whitlock didn't have much of an effect. That's probably the only other tool down there, but there's just got to, I don't know. There's something, if you're winning the inside 50s by plus 24, you need to be winning by minimum 3 to 4 goals. Minimum. They got the Collingwood curse there that Collingwood struggling with all year, except probably last week was the only week that they didn't struggle with it. And the other one is Tim English concussion, and we saw what an impact no Tim English to this Western Bulldogs size has. And now he's gone into concussion protocols. We know they don't have that backup ruck to be able to do it. So let's have a look. Who have they got the next 2 weeks? Or do they have the bye this week and then they just have to go one without him? Let's have a look. So they have Carlton next week. So Pitnet, and I think Liam Reed's playing a little bit. And so if we have, let's take it. So it's a 12 days. So it gets on a Friday. Then they play on a Saturday. It's 8. So potentially be back for the Sunday v Melbourne, and they need him out there. Max Gawn and Max Heath just absolutely working in tandem down there. Max Heath being able to allow Gawn to go forward and rest his body a bit more and then come in and dominate when he needs to. So they really need Tim English out there. But for now, great win by the Bulldogs. Now let's get into the Saturday games. All right, Saturday we kicked it off with North Melbourne v Sydney, and a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Honourable effort here from North Melbourne to only go down to probably the flag favourites, Sydney Swans, to only go down to them by 8 points is a great effort. 14-13, 97, defeated by 16-9, 105. Darling, Dersma, Sullivan, and did Zerha kick 2 or just the 1? Well, anyway, so Zerha kicked a goal there as well. As for the Swans, Heaney, McDonald, and McLean all kicked 3 apiece, and Papley kicked 2. LDU had 34 and was enormous with 6 clearances. They started the tag of James Jordan on Harry Sheasel, and LDU was having so much of an impact around the ball, they had to drop the tag of Sheasel and go straight over to LDU. We know what a great tagger James Jordan is, and they just had to nullify the impact. But then that did allow Sheasel to get off the leash a little bit, 31%. 31 disposals, at 81% efficiency and kicked a goal to go along with it. And Parker continues his great form in defense, 29, 10 marks and 625 meters gained. But there's a reason why this guy is the number one halfback in the competition, and that is Nick Blakey. Another great performance, arguably his best game so far this season. 26 disposals, 11 rebound 50s, 8 intercepts, 2 goal assists, and 7 score runs. Just give him his All-Australia blazer. Now he's second one. That is the reason why he is the number one in the competition. I feel like he had a fair few meters gained, or have I done him short here? I just want to make sure I haven't done him short here. If we pull it up here, Nick Blakey, or not. 517 meters gained, so not as much as I thought, but his dashing of the lines, 11 rebound 50s, was huge for the Swans. Heaney, again, had the tag of Finn O'Sullivan, but what Heaney can do with these tags is push forward and have just as much as an impact forward the ball as he does in the midfield. 24 disposals, 15 contested, 3 goals, 7 clearances, and 6 tackles. While Finn O'Sullivan wasn't bad either, especially going the other way. If we pull it up here, Finn O'Sullivan, where are you? So he finished with 22 disposals, 2 goals, 4 clearances, and 9 score runs. But you got to say, Heaney definitely takes the chocolates in that one so far, but a valuable effort from Finn O'Sullivan, who's going to be a player. But I can comfortably say right now, North are heading in the right direction. And do we owe Alistair Clarkson an apology? Alistair Clarkson was banged from pillar to post about he doesn't know how to coach anymore. He's not up with today's day of footy. And he's come out and presented that. The North Melbourne board, North Melbourne Football Club backed him in and said, no, this is our guy and we're sticking to him doing the rebuild. The fans were coming at him. The AFL world were coming at him. And Clarko, never write a legend and a great coach off like this. Don't forget, he's a 4-time premiership winning coach. Never write off a legend like that. I think the AFL world deserved to give Clarko a little bit of an apology out there for how much we bashed him, saying let him fire him, get rid of him. Yes, they haven't done the ultimate yet. Yes, they haven't made wildcard or finals yet, but it's the footy they are playing and they are challenging teams like the Sydney Swans. That is exactly all we asked for from North. We didn't ask them to jump straight into the top 8 and be finals contenders. All we wanted North to do was compete against the really good teams and then pick up wins along the way and let it build. And that's exactly what they're doing. So I think the AFL world deserves just a slight apology to Clarko. And I think there's a couple of journalists out there that definitely deserve to give a apology to Clarko. But great effort from North, but again, Sydney just too good. That's why I had the Sydney Swans as the number 1 seed so far. And we head over to the Giants v. the Bombers. Another close game, but it was the Giants edging out the Bombers by 14 points, 16-7, 109 defeated, 13-11, 89. Toby Green and Stringer kicked 3 each of the Giants. Riccardi, Daniels, Grzeski, and Goffard all kicked 2. As for the Bombers, Wright and May, 3 each. Caddy, Dersma also kicked 2. Whitfield, obviously, Lockie Ash has made that permanent move into the midfield now, which allows Whitfield to dictate the run-off halfback. He had 35 disposals going at 86% efficiency, 8 rebound 50s, 7 score runs, and a whopping 778 metres gained. So you can see the impact that it will have with Ash moving in there. Now he'll be able to control all the proceedings back there. Finn Callahan had 30 to go along with 6 clearances, while Clayton Oliver had 26, 11 clearances, and 7 tackles. Archie Roberts continues his magnificent form of halfback, 42 disposals, 11 marks, and 700 metres gained. Merritt had 31, while Durham proves why he's a midfielder and stop playing him forward. They put him back into the midfield the last 2 weeks, and in his 100th game, he showed up. 26 disposals, 16 of them contested, 8 clearances, 7 score bombers, and 6 tackles. But is this the one that got away for the Bombers? Yes, they went down by 14 points, but again, they were plus 15 and inside 50, 61-46. You need to be converting. They should have been able to get at least 2 or 3 goals out from those 15 inside 50. It's a great effort because we know the Giants should be better than probably what they are. I was going to say they're really good, but they haven't shown it this year. They probably should be better than they are. Injuries have affected that. But when you're plus 15 in inside 50s, you probably should be winning the game, is what I'll say. But it's good to see the Bombers not getting blown out of the way. And again, this is at NG Stadium, so always going to back in the home team there. And then I did mention Lockie Ash making a move as a permanent midfield, looks like, at least for the past 2 weeks. And what did he have in the end? He had 27 disposals, 23 disposals, 9 marks, seven intercepts, 5 inside 50s, 5 rebound 50s, and 8 score involvement. So it looks like he'll spend a little bit of time at halfback too, but predominantly it looks like he's going to be making his move through the midfield at the moment. What other thing we got? Unfortunately for Dyson Sharp, he suffered a shoulder injury, so we'll wait to see a little bit more on the extent on this shoulder injury. But he's a young star who's starting to show a bit of promise and was actually quite good in this game. If we pull up some of his stats here, Dyson Sharp, 17 disposals, 10 of them contested. And had 5 clearances as well, but he will be out for an extended period of time. And one of the more underrated players in the competition, I think, is Connor Iden. I think he is so underrated, and that smother, I can't remember exactly which Essendon player it was, but that goal-saving smother probably shut down the momentum that Bombers were starting to get to try and come back and win this game. I can't remember whose player it was, but it was a goal-saving smother, and I think he's one of the more underrated, at least defenders in the competition. If we pull up some of his stats for the game, let's have a look. Connor Iden, 24 disposals at 96% efficiency, 8 marks, 8 intercepts, 6 score involvements. And what I love about Connor Iden is he can play tall and he can play small. You give him a job and he more than likely gets it done. So I think it's time we start showing a bit of love to Connor Iden as one of the best, I'd say, medium-sized defenders in the competition. The ability to be able to lock down but also find his own footy. I think can't go undersold. But let's head over to Saturday night, starting off in Darwin. The Darwin Suns v. the Saints. And another good effort by the Saints. We know Gold Coast just don't drop this now. I believe they're undefeated up there. 13-11-89, or at least for the past 5 or 6 years. 13-11-89 defeated 8-12-60. King kick 4 for the Suns, while it was Wilson back in the side, had 21 disposals and kicked the 4 goals for the Saints, obviously without Higgins down there. John Noble was huge, 31 disposals, 84% efficiency, 1 goal, 13 marks in 800 or 600? 822 metres gained. Anderson's back finding some footy. Good 2 weeks of footy for the skipper. 31 disposals, 81% efficiency, 10 marks, 3 goal assists, and 8 score involvements. Took Miller had 31, a goal, and 8 score involvements. Bodie Ewan's having an excellent season playing that halfback wing role. 29 disposals, 86% efficiency, and 13 intercepts. While Rioli was also huge off halfback. 28 disposals, 82% efficiency, a goal, and 682 metres gained. Flanders had 28, 8 inside 50s, 784 metres gained, and Garcia's really starting to show some stuff, not playing that tagging role, but just allowed him to find his own footy, and he's doing that at will. 27 and 5 clearances. I think Brad Hill's having a really good year off that wing, uses the ball well, runs hard, and starting to find some footy as well consistently. 25 disposals, 84% efficiency, and 9 marks. And obviously no NASA late call out. That meant Sinclair stood up to play a bit more midfield time rather than halfback. 25 disposals, 84% efficiency, a goal, and 634 metres gained. 633, was playing a bit of halfback too, but obviously would have had to spend a bit more time for the mid than he would have to if Nas was playing. But the Saints still took up to him and got off to a fast start to lead by 15 at quarter time, and then the Suns piled on 6 in a row coming into the second quarter, and they just didn't really look back there. One negative for the Saints. Arguably their best player, Callum Wilkie, went down with a back injury after copping a knee from Ben King in a marking contest. Now, we'll have to see the extent of this back injury, but he will obviously spend some time on the sidelines, and he's probably been their best player. He saved so many goals down there, and he has a case to be one of the best key defenders in the competition, in my opinion. So what will this effect have with no Callum Wilkie? Because now it's up to Dougal Howard, I'm trying to think who else. Well, that's all that's coming to my mind at the moment, but it leaves a massive, massive hole. And for the Suns, Ethan Reid injured his knee and ended his night early, so I think that just frees up a spot for Jed Walter to come in, especially because Jamal Uehagen went goalless. Maybe they'll give Jed Walter another go at it. But let's head over to a game I don't want to touch on between the Cats and the Pies. Oh, God. I need to take a drink before I get into this one. All right. Let's get into it. Oh, boys. Cats beated the Pies by 54 points, 18-14, 122, defeated 9-14, 68. And it was Henry against his old side, and that is Ollie Henry, who kicked 4, Manna 3, Martin, Neal, Close, Dangerfield, all with 2 each. McStay had 3, and I thought Buller showed some signs, kicking the 2 and taking the 9 marks as well. As for disposals, Baz just had his own footy. And what have I said about Bailey Smith? You can't let him run and carry and get that run on the outside. If you shut that run down, it shuts a lot of their movement forward of the ball going forward. But he had 40 disposals, 3 goal assists, 14 score rollers, 6 clearances, 612 metres gain. I know it's easier said than done, but you shut down, you can't, not necessarily shut down his run, but you shut down at how much run and carry he gets to the ball and just block him off in the stoppages. It goes a long way. Holmes was spending more time at a half back, 33, 7 rebound 50s. Humphrey, who I picked out as could be a breakout player for the Cats at the start of the season, 26 disposals, 81% efficiency, 8 intercepts, and 8 score bombers. DeGoey had his best game in a while, 30 disposals. When's the last time you read out Jordan DeGoey having 30? Probably not since Buckley got the sack, and then that purple patch in the second half of the year where he was spending as a full-time mid and getting 30s for fun. Was probably the last time I recall DeGoey having 30 disposals, 11 score runs and 9 inside 50s. Nick Dacos, 29, but it's time we start talking about his kicking. I think a lot of it too is because the tag having and not being able to hold on to marks. But I think I'm trying to be, because I love Nick Dacos. I'm trying to be as honest, but it hurts to say. I don't think, is he biting off kicks that don't need to be bitten off as such? Like, is he taking I get a lot of the kicks would be too from, say, center clearances, stoppage, where you're just banging the boot on the ball. But is he biting off kicks that aren't good? Because there are kicks where you pull off and you just go, wow. But then there is ones where he's just rushing it. So does he need to get that long bomb kick out of the line out of him? Because that's not the play the Collingwood Football Club want Nick Dacos being. They want him being the user, the distributor, not the person who gets it and bombs it long down the line. Let other people do that. Let someone like Ned Long do that, who we don't trust with the footy running forward. We'd rather him just bomb it. That is not Nick Dacos' role. That's probably what I'd have to say on that one, because his disposal efficiency is very much down. Chris said 28, and Pendlebury equaled the game's record, so great night. We'll wear the gold number next time, but 27 disposals, 85% efficiency, and a goal. Tom Stewart also in his 200th game. Great career Tom Stewart has had, multiple-time All-Australian, came in as a mature age pickup. One of the great stories, I think, in football, obviously picked up, I want to say he was about 25 years old. And then his second season was All-Australians. That's just a great story. And Darcy Moore, concussion was ruled out at halftime. Getting a lot of injuries, becoming unreliable. I think it's time they strip the captaincy of him and give it to someone like Braden Maynard or Nick Dacos. I think it's time. If it's not now, it's definitely the end of the season. I can't see, and I don't want to see as a Collingwood supporter, Darcy Moore go into the 2027 season as captain. Nothing against Darcy Moore. The injuries have caught up to him, and he doesn't have that same dash and power that he marvels his game on. That's what his best attribute to the game is. It's his intercept marking and then going and dashing off that from the defensive 50 and starting that attack forward. He doesn't have that as much anymore, but like he did when he was a 2-time All-Australian. His body's not doing it, so we can't rely on him to being captain if he can't even stay out on the field. So I think it's time they move on from him as the skipper, and we'll just see what happens from there. 30 years old, and injuries are starting to catch up to him. But now let's head out to today's game, or when you watch, it'll be a Monday, so it'll be Sunday's game. Starting off with the Demons and the West Coast Eagles. This is where we start seeing a bit more, starting off with Collingwood Geelong with 54 points, but we start seeing some bigger victories. By all means, though, West Coast can hold their head up reasonably high. 32 points over in Melbourne. We know that what you can say is they didn't get smashed. All right, Sunday footy, Melbourne v the West Coast Eagles, and it was all about Jacob Van Rooyen in this one, kicking a massive 5 goals. That's the second game this season where he's kicked a massive bag. 15-9-99, the Demons defeating the West Coast Eagles 9-13-67. It was good to see Paddy Cross also have a really good game, kicking 3 goals. As for... I'm just going to take my jacket off for a second, guys. But as for the West Coast Eagles, Waterman kicked 3, but he did kick 3 goals 5, so left a few out there on the park. Left a few of them out on the park. Speaking of Jake Waterman, Cosy Pickett's going to have a nervous wait with the high clip he got on Jake Waterman. Is he in trouble for this one? I know he hasn't got him hugely. Like, it's just a little running the way through and got him, but he still got him high, heads over the footy. Is he looking at a 1-2? It's going to be an interesting watch, as Cosy Pickett's by far been, him and Gorn being their 2 best players. Disposals-wise, Langdon had 29, playing that half-back role now back into his career. 93% efficiency, 11 intercepts, 10 marks, and 7 score moments. Steele, 26 and 3 goal assists. Jake Bowie, 26, 85% efficiency, 8 rebound 50s, and 564 metres gained. McCarthy also had 30, 7 rebound 50s, 6 inside 50s, and 692 metres gained. Murdoch had 25, 2 goal assists, 7 score moments, and 5 tackles, while Kelly had 25 and 8 score moments. But the big thing here, I think, is the flexibility of the 2 maxes in the ruck. Yes, it might be challenged when we come up against some better teams, but that's 2 weeks in a row when they've been able to work in tandem. Max Gawn, 27 hit-outs, 21 disposals, and a goal. Then Max Heath, 22 hit-outs and 11 disposals. Really good. See Max Heath get some opportunity, and we thought Max Gawn, there was no life after Max Gawn. Maybe there is something here with Max Heath, quite potentially. Another great story was Andy Moniz Wakefield. First AFL game since round 21 and 24. And what a way to come back by snapping your first AFL career goal. And what a neat finish it was. Always a great story. Waited so long to get back. They rate him very highly. Will probably spend most of his time as a halfback flanker. And that's where they rated him at VFL level. And he's got plenty of the footy. But it was really good to see him, Moniz Wakefield, back out there. As a player and young player, they do rate very, very highly. Harry Edwards' horrible day. So obviously returned from concussion after suffering one in round 2. Was already wearing a helmet because of that. And then friendly flyer head clash with Elliot Yeo in a contest with Max Gawn. Had blood pouring from his face. Had to leave the ground. Was already wearing a helmet. And this is his 3rd concussion in just this year alone. Worrying times for Harry Edwards. They obviously will have to go into concussion protocols. But 3 concussions, they're not going to want to run any list, especially with how much they're coming down hard on concussions. The AFL, the lawsuits coming down hard on him. And we mentioned Cosy Pickett. But the game that just happened were the Tigers and the Crows. And the Tigers were all over them in the first half, really. But the Crows just came out and showed and outran a young Tigers team in the end. And it looked like the Tigers were coming back in the last quarter, and then the Crows kicked away again to finish off strongly. But 9-7-61, defeated by 14-14-98, 37 points. Lynch kicked 3 for the Tigers. As for the Crows, Neil Bullen, Rochelle kicked 2. He probably kicked the game winner and iced it off with a celebration. Loves a Sally. As for disposals, Taranto 28, 19 contested and 9 clearances. Ross had 26, having a really good season. Jack Ross, 26, 6 tackles. Shaw also had 26, 96% efficiency and 10 marks. Wayne Malira just keeps putting up numbers after numbers. 34 disposals at 94% efficiency, 8 score involvements. Rankin spending a full time through the midfield this week with Rochelle spending more time forward and was enormous. Whether it was on the inside or on the outside, 33, a goal, 10 marks, 9 tackles, 8 inside 50s, 8 score involvements, and 684 metres gained. Is the best on ground there, him and Malira. Dawson also spent time at half-back today. Most of his time at half-back. 29 disposals, 12 marks, a goal, 7 inside 50s, and 573 metres gained. There, but the Tigers, it wasn't much of a game that you can really touch on. The only thing is Tom Brown's gone down with an injury. I think it was pre-game or post-game, or during the game, but it was very early on. Just adds to more of the injury woes. But that is all the round 9 action reviewed. Now let's go have a look how the ladder looks. All right, so the ladder after round 9, we read Sydney Swans stay on top of the ladder as 2 teams are on 32 points. It's the Swans and the Dockers in first and second. Third place. So the top 4 stays in the exact same position. Third is the Hawks. Fourth, the Brisbane Lions. Now, coming up to 5th place is the Cats, and dropping down to 6th is the Gold Coast Suns. Staying in 7th are Melbourne. Coming up to 8th is Adelaide. Coming up to 9th is the Western Bulldogs. Dropping down to 10th is the Magpies, just hanging on there. Dropping down to 11th and out of the 10 is St Kilda. Then dropping down to 12th is North Melbourne. Jumping their way up to 13th is the GWS Giants. Port go down to 14th. West Coast stay. Sorry, excuse me. And the rest of the teams stay exactly where they are. So West Coast, 15th West Coast, 16th Carlton, 17th Essendon, and 18th the Tigers. So just a quick wrap up there. The ladder follows as Sydney, Fremantle, Hawthorn, Brisbane, Geelong, Gold Coast, top 6. Now the next 4 that would make wildcard weekend. Melbourne, Adelaide, Western Bulldogs, Collingwood. Now the rest are in order: St Kilda, North Melbourne, GWS, Port Adelaide, West Coast, Carlton, Essendon, and Richmond. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the full review and wrap-up of the Round 9 action in the AFL. Thank you guys for listening and watching along. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to leave a like and comment on this episode. Hit that subscribe button. Turn notification bell on so you're notified whenever we upload. And also share this off to a mate because we're racing towards 400 subscribers. I really want to start pushing YouTube as well. Also posting the shorts from commentary highlights. So make sure you stay tuned to that one. If you're listening to this via Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please make sure to leave a like and comment on this episode. Hit that follow button. Turn notification bell on so you're notified whenever we upload. Share this off to a mate. And please, guys, remember to leave a 5-star rating on the show, as that does help push the show out there. If you want to see all the clips from the show, any highlights from whether it's footy, local footy, or just me talk absolute dribble about footy and sport in general, but mainly footy during footy season. And then when we get to summer, it's all about the cricket. But footy is the talk of the town right now. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and TikTok at @uptheguts_. And you can also find us on Facebook. Just search Up the Guts and we'll be the top one there. Thank you guys for listening and watching along. And until next time, I'll see you guys there.